What's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate 2 Reviews, and today we're going to be taking a look at a portable power station. I'm sure you heard a lot of the bigger names like Jackery, and there's a couple other ones out there, but kind of everyone's doing that now. Of course, the Jackeries, they can get a little pricey at times, but so can a lot of other brands too. Now, if you're looking for like an entry-level power station like the Vevor that I have behind me, they start at around $200–300 from pretty much any brand that you buy them for. Now, they can be very, very confusing. I will admit that. There's a lot of numbers are thrown around with these things. You got wattage and voltage and all this crazy stuff. There is two things, in my opinion, that I think are quite important to look for on these. The first one being the watt hours. Now, on any battery, the watt hours is easy to calculate. It's basically the voltage times the amp hours of that battery. And that's going to be a pretty universal term there, because you can take that with any battery. That's a number you can compare to literally any battery, no matter the voltage, no matter the amp hours. It gives you just one universal number to compare. So the Vevor I have behind me is going to have right here at 296 watt hours. It's got a 20 amp battery at a 14.8 voltage there. So they got all the inputs and outputs listed on the back of here. Pretty easy to understand a lot of this stuff here. It does say that it's going to be a max 300 watt output for everything combined. So you could do probably close to 300 watts max out of the AC or standard terminals here. And then you could do like a combined, you got like 150, then maybe 100 watts out of one of the USB-Cs. You can do something like that as well. Now, what I like about this unit is it does charge quite quickly, and of course you have a lot of options on the front here. I was able to charge this unit up in about, say, a couple of hours, like 3 or 4 hours. I did a full charge. It wasn't too bad. I had it down at like 30 or 40 the first time I used it, just powering some outdoor lighting I had for a little event I was working on. And anyways, there's a couple options on here. You do, of course, have like a safety light on the side here. That's always a nice little feature. And the cool thing is that that'll actually turn on the unit as well. You do have a power button on the front here. You can go on and off, just to hold here. So on, off, pretty easy to do. My only complaint about the case is, it's just plastic all around. It'd be cool to have some nice like rubber overmolding on this. It'd be really, really cool. Of course, you're gonna throw this thing in and out of your car, camping. There's nothing really covering, the USBs, the ACs, the DC input here. So dirt, debris can get in there rather quite easily. I wish there was maybe some type of case or something, like these rubberized covers here to protect all of the, places for dirt and debris to get into. All right, let's take a closer look at all of these specs here. Basically going to tell you the max voltage, max output. I'm looking at the 24 watt max output of a lot of these. Now you can compare things like, say, a battery charger. You can look on the back and it'll tell you basically how much wattage it'll pull. So this size unit, it's going to run you, I think it's like 260, 270 on Amazon. You're not going to be running, like a stove or anything off of this, but you can run a lot of different, LED lighting off this. You can charge your laptop, no problem with this, a couple phones. Basic stuff you're trying to charge up. If you're doing a long road trip, you're going camping, this will do a lot of the stuff you need. But don't have it, try to do like an AC unit off of it, or like a kettle or anything like that. And that's going to pull a ton of power. This thing won't be able to handle it. One thing you want to always look for is going to be active cooling on these units. As they do start pulling a lot of power out, the batteries will get a little toasty. So having active cooling like that fan on the side is quite key. All right, so let's try out something here. I've got this DeWalt battery charger here. This is going to be the DCB115. It's one of the faster chargers that you can pick up here without a fan built into it. So on the back here, we're going to see it's got an input voltage of 120 volts at 1.5 amps. It's going to output 4 amps DC at around, I think it's like 18–20 volts, somewhere that it will charge at. So we'd be looking at around, it's not going to charge at the full speed here, of course. So somewhere between, I think, 80 and 160 watts it's going to pull. Of course, every battery you put in there is going to be slightly different, of course. Now what you got to do is you have a little AC power switch here, so we can see that it does turn on. See how it turns on the little AC power there when I hit that button? So that's pretty cool. It also tells you how many watts you're currently pulling, how much output you have, and how many hours are estimated remaining at your current level of power draw. Also, here is your battery meter telling you exactly how much percent battery you have left. Okay, so let's throw the battery on the charger here and see how many watts we're going to pull here. All right, so we're pulling about 93 watts now. We have an estimated 3 hours remaining. So that's actually not terrible. I can actually charge a DeWalt battery off here. Now for reference, like I mentioned, the watt hours here, this DeWalt battery has, right here you can see, 100 watt hours. Now you're not going to be able to get exactly 100 watt hours, you know, when you charge up another battery, because you're going to lose some of that power to heat, of course. So you always remember that if you have 1,000 watt hours in here, you're not actually going to be able to use 1,000 watt hours because you might have to change over between heat. There's always going to be electrical loss somewhere. So depending on how much you have, depending on what, you know, temperature it is out, there's a lot of factors there that determine how much loss of heat you have. As you can see now, we've stabilized to about 47 watts now out of this, and I've gone up to about 6 hours of time remaining. All right, let's plug in something a little bit more demanding now. I've got this Hart fan, and this is actually a pretty cool fan because it runs on battery, or you can plug it directly into the wall, which is pretty cool, so it's got a nice dual use to it. Let's see how much power we can pull, and can we still pull a DeWalt battery charging station as well as the fan. So I'm just going to go right to fan speed 1. All right, we jumped up there about 30-ish watts or so when I went to speed 1. Let's jump to speed 2. Not bad. I'm only at about 70 watts-ish right now on speed 2 with the fan. About 4 hours remaining, and let's go up to speed 3. Yeah, about 85 watts now. All right, so it's important to remember that this does have a lot of the safety features you're looking for. Overvolt, you know, power protection from pulling too much power. It'll just shut off all the outlets for you. It's got overheat protection. There's a ton of those to name. Of course, you're going to want to have all of those built in so you don't actually pull too much power, you get it too hot. Lots of things you can do to damage these very easily, but a lot of the technology has significantly improved over the last 5-10 years to make these a lot safer and to help them protect themselves as well. I will say this can also use solar. I don't have any panels myself. I think the panels you can pick up at like Harbor Freight, Amazon. They go for right around $150, $250. I have a friend who has not the exact same unit, but he's got panels and another unit like this. He said solar does take a long time to charge. He said it wasn't really worth it, but if you guys have tried it, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to see if solar is worth it at about $150, $200. That does make this whole system, you know, run you right around $500 or so. For having basically a mobile power station that you can charge batteries off of, which is pretty cool. That's actually really neat to have, and I mean, you can charge your phone off here. I mean, I'm running a fan off here too, off AC. That's pretty awesome. So really, really cool here. I will say, if you didn't know, my charger is fully charged here, but I'm still pulling, I was pulling about 2 watts there, 0 watts again, so that's kind of interesting to see. Pulling just a little bit of wattage there even after this is charged, probably just for that LED light there would make sense. Yeah, and to add to that also, this thing is not very heavy either. I mean, it's just a couple of batteries in here. I'll post the weight of this on screen, but I mean, I can lift this thing up no problem. It's pretty light for what it is. Not like it's too light that doesn't feel, you know, well built. But, you know, my overall complaints of this so far are really just, I wish there was some way to cover all of these inputs and outputs so you didn't get, you know, dirt and debris in these. You can see that just in my garage here, getting a little bit of sawdust on here as I'm doing a couple projects today. Probably getting some sawdust, of course, in the connections, but it's kind of is what it is there, unfortunately. But the cool thing is you can run a lot of stuff off this. If you go through, like, you know, storms, hurricanes, camping, you get occasional blackouts, you know, at your house, being able to run a fan, maybe a battery charger, charge your phones at the same time, it's really not that big of a deal. And this is one of the smallest units most companies make, is that 300 watt output. You can see here me running a fan and charging a battery. We weren't even touching 100 watts yet. So that basically gives us a whole nother 200 watts of power remaining. And even then, I had about 3 hours left on there to basically run a fan, charge a battery, and probably want to take me down to maybe about 2 hours if I had to also maybe charge a phone or two, a tablet, and even maybe a laptop. So there's lots of options with these systems to really, you know, there's so much stuff you can do with them, which is pretty cool. Even taking it on a road trip, you can also plug this thing into your car to recharge the batteries that way. So lots of cool options, guys. There's tons to explore with these, but hopefully if you maybe learned a thing or two here watching this video, it was really cool to do some research on these and really find out just how much stuff they can do now, which is pretty cool. So guys, thanks for watching, take care, have a great day, and stay safe out there.